The egg-laying operation at NewCal's largest supplier is impressive. This ranch alone houses 1 million chickens. It's one of 6 run by Gimperly Enterprises. And this isn't your grandfather's chicken farm. The biosecurity signs at the front gate send a loud message. This place is serious about contamination. No one, not even the people who work here, are allowed inside without a sterilized jumpsuit and plastic boot covers. The threat of disease is such a big concern, there's one last precaution. You step in and slosh around in a chlorine-like disinfectant before entering the building.
There are so many avian health problems outside in the natural environment and the natural waterfowl that could devastate poultry that we keep them contained in our buildings and keep them protected from the pathogens outside.
What's outside is the Central Valley of California. But more importantly, this is directly in the path of the Pacific Flyway, the north-south migration route for millions of birds flying between Antarctica and South America. Birds that could be carrying any number of diseases, including the much-publicized Asian bird flu and exotic Newcastle disease. Exotic Newcastle devastated flocks in Southern California about 5 years ago.
If you go back to the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, when the advent of the modern egg industry started, almost all of the birds, actually all of the birds, ran free and mortality rates were disastrous. It was common to lose 50 to 80% of the birds. There are so many diseases that are in the natural environment of the waterfowl that when they get into a group of chickens, it can just devastate them.
At Gimperly Enterprises, only 4 people have keys to these hen houses, and fewer than a half dozen workers are allowed inside. There are 2 veterinarians on staff here, and Supervisor Jim Robinson monitors these chickens with state-of-the-art technology.
This control station tells everything we want to know. It's got feed and water for the day, environment. It's got egg flow, which is number of eggs laid. This is an automatic station right here. If we want to test this, we turn it to manually to ensure chickens get the proper feed every day.
The temperature is a constant 80 degrees. The birds have easy access to water, and feed moves through these troughs 24 hours a day. All that contributes to what CEO Steve Gimperly calls the sound of happy chickens. Listen. And a happy chicken is a more productive chicken.
Over the life of a chicken, it probably lays 7 eggs every 10 days or maybe 8 eggs every 10 days, which is, in our industry, we call that 70, 75, 80% production. We're in those ranges on the higher end of productivity because our birds are cared for so well.
In fact, a study conducted by Sydney University suggests free-range chickens are no happier than caged chickens. Dr. Jeff Downing measured corticosterone, the hormone chickens produce when they're stressed, and the study showed similar levels of corticosterone in the eggs of caged as well as free-range chickens. Dr. Downing also noted free-range chickens are constantly in fear of attack by predators, and they're more vulnerable to diseases, parasites, and extreme weather.
See the line right there? Yeah. It's a fracture in the shell.
Agriculture biologist Fred Michaelis checks the quality of egg production in Merced County just about every week.
What kind of job do these guys do here?
Well, I mean, they do a marketable job. You know, they get the product that the consumer is willing to buy.
But today's farmer has to be smart and productive. At Gimperly Enterprises, eggs are washed in a disinfectant solution. They're checked for cracks with an ultrasound device and placed in cartons for delivery just a few hundred feet from where they were laid. Almond grower Paul Winger says big operations are the only way to make ends meet in farming these days. Winger is also vice president of the California Farm Bureau.
I am farming today what 5 other farm families farmed 40 years ago. They could make a living on 30 or 40 acres. Today they can't. The family farmer finds himself more of a manager sitting behind a desk in an office than he does find himself being a true farmer. But that again is a direct result because of the regulatory climate we find ourselves in today.
In recent years, strict government regulations have left behind only serious farmers to cultivate the food supply. 19 million egg-laying hens, 95% of the flock in California, spend their lives in clean, very modern chicken houses like these. What you see hanging from these cages is not filth, it's simply feather lint. And in this place, you've got a lot of feathers.
A typical house like the one you're in costs about $2 million. And so it's about $12, $13 per chicken.
The widespread use of cages more than 20 years ago changed the egg industry. Today, cages are stacked and droppings fall away from the birds down chutes into manure pits. That practically eliminates the exposure to fecal-borne diseases, parasites, and infection. Mortality rates dropped, and egg production improved dramatically.
When they were able to get the chickens up off the floor into these type of cages, the birds were much more healthy, and a lot of the serious diseases that caused a lot of problems in production basically disappeared.
Cages have also undergone an evolution. Egg producers are currently phasing in a mandate that gives birds more space. But these cages, 24 inches wide, 20 inches deep, and 20 inches high, aren't as cramped as critics would have you believe. There's even some extra headroom.
They've been doing studies to determine what happens as you go to more square inches or less square inches. They found that to be optimal for chickens because they tend to be community type animals anyway that want to huddle together. You can even go into a cage-free house and all the chickens will huddle in the corner together because that's the nature of a chicken, is they want to be together.
The life of a chicken is an interesting one. Those raised for the dinner table are sent to market only 6 or 8 weeks after they hatch. But the average lifespan of an egg-laying hen is 2 years, and it's a pretty good life.